Hello and welcome along to a special mayoral hustings edition of the Northern Agenda podcast, brought to you from the home of the Hull Daily Mail and Hull Live. I'm Northern Agenda editor Rob Parsons. We are just a few days away from finding out who is going to be chosen by voters for a job that has never existed before, but could have a huge impact on the lives of hundreds of thousands of people north of the River Humber. And today we're going to hear from some of those in the running for it. Around Northern England, there are 7 so-called metro mayors, people like Andy Burnham, Tracy Brabin, and Ben Houchen, elected to be their region's political figureheads and bring in jobs, prosperity, and investment. After this year's local and mayoral elections on May the 1st, you'll be able to add to that list Hull and the East Riding of Yorkshire, which in 2023 finally agreed a devolution deal, creating a new mayoral authority and an elected mayor. Whoever gets in next week will have a £400 million long-term investment fund and powers over education, housing and transport to help make life better for the region's 600,000 population. It won't be an easy job, not least because of the very diverse characteristics and needs of the city of Hull and the largely rural East Yorkshire. It's summed up nicely on page 4 of the 45-page devolution deal, which describes how the urban and rural contrasts have marked out the area for centuries. It goes on to say, the urban grain of Kingston upon Hull, built on long-standing industrial and maritime success, stands alongside the ageless chalk hills and rurality of the Yorkshire Wolds, abutting the North Sea to the east, and its beautiful natural sites at the Bempton Cliffs and Spurn Point with the Humber Estuary to the south. So now we've had that geography lesson. Today, to help voters decide who to back next week, we're going to hear from 5 of the 6 candidates bidding to be mayor. I'll be quizzing them on what they do if elected and putting them on the spot with the help of questions from Hull Live readers. We've got an hour to get through as many questions as possible, but first I've asked all the candidates here today to give an opening statement of no more than 90 seconds, telling us a bit about yourselves and your policies. We'll do it in reverse alphabetical order by surname. So let's go first to Mike Ross of the Liberal Democrats. Mike.
Well, thank you, Rob. It's great to be with you here today. And where I want to start is by, in your introduction there, you talked about this is a job that this region has never had before. So for me, this is about a fresh start for this region. This is about opportunity. This is about a chance to bring in the investment that this region has so long been crying out for, and it's a chance to do what this region needs to happen. Uh, I have the background and experience that this job needs. I'm ready to hit the ground running from day one. If you elect me as your mayor, I'll be able to lead this region, working alongside the local councils, but importantly, the local community as well, working with them to make sure this region gets what it truly deserves. I am ready for this job. I know what this job is all about, and I want to see the best of this region. I love Hull East Yorkshire. It's my home, and I want to see it thrive.
Mike, thank you very much. Next, we turn to Margaret Pinder of Labour.
Thank you, yes, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to your readers. I base my manifesto very much on the things that matter to local people that I found out talking to them out and about. And what I've made is a very concrete offer so people can actually look and say, that's something we can sign up to, that's something we can really see the mayor deliver. So working with, obviously, with the Labour government, what I've pledged to deliver is ending the 8 a.m. scramble to see a doctor, more community healthcare centres around the region, tackling antisocial behaviour, getting the troublemakers off the streets, making our high streets hubs of the community again. I want to introduce opportunity hubs around the region, offering a mayoral apprenticeship scheme, delivering skills training, but also business support, which is really important. Potholes. The government's put 26.5 million into this region to tackle potholes, which I know are a big issue. So I'm going to make sure the councils spend that. And then my final pledge, which is one of my favourites, is free coastal travel on the buses in July and August. Boost our coastal communities that are still suffering after COVID, get people using buses, children here who've never seen the sea. So those are concrete offers that I want to make to show my commitment to the mayoralty and to the people of the region.
Margaret, thank you very much. Now, Anne Handley from the Conservatives.
Thank you very much, Rob. So for me, this deal has been a long, long time coming. We've waited at least 10 years for it. And the last 2 years has been hard work trying to get it over the line. But we have actually got there. And what I would like to do is concentrate on the transport in this region. We do have a difficult transport network that really does need attention. And that's what I'm hearing on the streets. Also coupled with that is the skills. We need to invest in the skills, and with £17.5 million that we have got for the devolved skills budget, we should be working with businesses to make sure that we have got a ready-made workforce for the future. And also we need to couple that with the investment that we can bring into this area. But the difficulty of being the mayor is you have to navigate the complexities of government, local councils, businesses, and also residents. And that really does take some navigating, and the collegiality we have to get to make that work will be no small task. So if you elect me for the mayor, I already do that, and I will continue to do that and work collegially across the region with all parties to make sure we get the best deal and going forward the best investments.
Anne, thank you very much. Now, fourth, we have Rowan Halstead from the Yorkshire Party.
Hi, yes, thank you. This mayoral election is a fantastic opportunity for Hull and East Riding, for us to finally be able to speak for ourselves and have a voice not only across the country but across the world. Now, there's a lot of things which this region does fantastically well, and we need to focus on these so we can help the areas which unfortunately we're a bit lacklustre in. We've got a fantastic arts community and industry and manufacturing, particularly within green energy. We're a world leader within this regard, and we really need to push forward, working with business, working with local councils and our close neighbours to really push forward to give opportunities towards local people. I'm a maintenance engineer myself at a manufacturing site within Hull, so I know what these businesses need to succeed, and I know what opportunities our young and elderly and everyone in between need to attain these jobs. So for me, this role is a lot about cohesion, working with everybody involved to create opportunities for all, so our lively outcomes are better. And this would mean working with our transport to enable us to get to those jobs or to get to the extracurricular activities which keep our well-being good, to perform better in these roles, to have housing which is suitable for our people, our families and workers, not these satellite villages with 4-bedroom unaffordable housing, real affordable housing for you and your families, so you have extra income to be able to afford these activities outside. And again, it's working collaboratively with Southwood and Humber, with our Yorkshire neighbours and other northern mayors, to ensure we're working across party political lines, to take party politics out of it and just do what's best for the people of Hull and East Yorkshire.
Rowan, thank you very much. Now, last but not least, we have Luke Campbell from Reform UK.
Thanks for having me. I think it's real simple. I think our current parties have failed us. I think if you're happy with the way we're going as a country and the direction we're heading, then you're probably better off voting for one of the other candidates. But if you want change, if you want someone who's going to stand up and fight for our communities, someone that's not doing this to level himself through party politics. I've got no interest in wanting to be an MP, going to London or anything like that. I want to stay here. This is my home. I want to give back to my community and I want to be their voice. So vote for me, May 1st, if that's what you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luke. Now, you've heard from 5 of the candidates. There is one other hopeful standing in the form of Kerry Harrison from the Green Party. She wasn't able to join us today, sadly. So let's turn to the questions. And for the first question, it's a topic I touched on in my intro. I'm going to come to Anne Handley first to answer this question. Hull and East Yorkshire is a very diverse region politically and also economically. It's got 3 Labour MPs, 3 Conservative MPs, 1 Liberal Democrat-led council, 1 Conservative-led council. How would you look to represent the entire region and everyone in it?
Thank you, Rob. So for me, for the past 2 years, I've been the leader of East Riding of Yorkshire Council, and I have got every party in that council. And so every single day of my life, I work across all parties, whether that's Labour, Liberal Democrats, the Yorkshire Party, the Independent Party, the Reform Party, or indeed the Independent Party themselves. So that's my day. That's what I do day in, day out. And during the course of the past 2 years, I haven't just dealt with one government. I've dealt with 2 governments to get this deal across the line, because it's not about the politics. And I really have to stress that. It's about the people and the region. And we have worked together. And I've worked with Mike, who was the leader of Hull City Council, who was also a Liberal Democrat. And we have worked tirelessly for this region to be able to sit in this room and answer the questions that you're currently asking us. So I have no issues whatsoever dealing with anybody on any party, on any level, so long as it's the right thing for this region.
Anne, thank you. Rowan, Halstead from the Yorkshire Party. How does a mayor bring together the interests of a very diverse region like Hull and East Riding?
Well, I think it's a massive benefit of the region because all these different people are going to be doing different views and different skills. And I think whoever is elected mayor should really prioritise that every voice is heard. Everyone here will get votes. So we need to ensure that everyone's voice is heard. But I think it's a particular advantage for the Yorkshire Party and myself because we are just interested in what's happening within this region, within Hull, East Yorkshire and the surrounding areas. So I will work with anyone if it means bettering this area. I don't want to bring national politics in here. I'm not here to talk about the big issues which the mayor will be able to speak on behalf of, but won't have absolute control over. So it's just about prioritising local people and working with everybody. It's something I've done my entire life and it's something I'll continue to do as mayor.
Rowan, thank you. Luke, same question to you. How do you represent a region that is dominated by politicians from other parties to your own?
I mean, it sounds very difficult when you put it in that respect, but listen, regardless of what party you represent, if everyone who's sitting around the table want one thing, the same thing, to better this region, to better our communities, it should be fairly simple and fairly straightforward. If everyone works together for one thing to better this region, it should be pretty simple.
Okay, thank you. Mike, you are the Liberal Democrat leader of Hull Council. How do you represent voters from the East Riding of Yorkshire as well as those in your patch?
So as a Liberal Democrat leader, I represent voters across the city regardless who they voted for. If I was a Liberal Democrat mayor, I would represent voters regardless of what party they voted for. This has to be about place, not politics. And as a Liberal Democrat, I wouldn't be in the pockets of anybody, but I'd also be someone that a government could work with because we want to get the best for this region, which it would be fundamentally important for whoever gets elected mayor. And so it has to be about the place, it has to be about the people of this place. And it's got to be more than just, you frame it in terms of diversity of politics, diversity in general, in terms of different business interests, different community interests. It's about someone who has the experience of working with people across the patch to work out what is important for this region. As a mayor, as a leader, we've set out being a listening council. And as a mayor, I'd want to be a listening mayor as well.
Mike, thank you. And finally, Margaret, the same question to you.
Yes, I think diversity is a great strength, but I mean, it depends how it lies. And I think one of the reasons I think that what I bring to the table here is that I'm not attached to either council. We've got the Conservative candidate who's attached to East Riding, we've got the Lib Dem candidate who's attached to Hull. So the danger is they're going to favour one region over the other. And I don't come from a directly political background. And my family's originally from Hull. I spent my early years in Hull. I now live in the East Riding and grew up in the East Riding. So I've got a very even-handed view overall. What we really don't need is a mayor whose politics is the politics of division. And I think what's important for me is that as well as representing everyone in the region, because I don't have an attachment to either one, I already have a seat at the table at government and I can work with the other Labour mayors across the region to make sure that, Hull and East Riding actually takes its rightful place as part of the North and part of the North and what it's delivered for the nation. So I think what I'm bringing to this is somebody who's actually even-handed, but has the kind of professional and experience that can deliver as mayor.
Margaret, thank you very much. So let's move on to the second question. And we've been taking questions from Hull Daily Mail readers, and one of the things that came across was, I think, some scepticism about the creation of an elected Metro mayor in the first place. One of the questions was, can you explain why we are having a regional mayor when the public don't want yet another layer of politicians? Another one said, what is the single thing you would achieve which the existing councils could not do that would more than compensate local residents for the £2 million cost of setting up the mayoralty? So bearing in mind that I guess you've got to win over the voters to persuade them that having a mayor is a good idea, what would be your pitch to them to say, I will actually make a difference to your lives that you're not getting under the current system? So Luke, I'll ask you that question first.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not doing this to level myself through party politics. I've put my neck out on the line here for one reason, and that's to stand up and represent the communities in our region. You know, my number one priority, what I believe is, you know, is to cut council waste and improve accountability in the council. There's projects where I can give examples of where they've wasted millions on projects that no one's asked for and no one's wanted. So, like, who's accountable for the millions that's lost in this? Could that be better spent elsewhere? Could it be better else spent on their economic growth, local businesses, filling all the potholes? There's millions. I'll give one example. Actually, I'll give two. You got the Queen's Gardens that started out at 5.4 million to regenerate Queen's Gardens, which is a massive number. It's now at 21.1 plus million to regenerate a garden. Like, that's crazy. Where's the economic growth? Where's the local businesses getting helped in that? It brings nothing to the table. It's millions wasted for what? And who's accountable for overspending 4 times than what it was quoted for? Who's accountable for that?
Okay, well, that's thank you very much. I mean, the leader of Hull or East Riding might want to come back on that at the end. We'll go to Mike now. How do you persuade voters that creating a mayor, and particularly a Lib Dem mayor, is going to make a difference to their lives?
Well, the question's around why we're doing this. I think the fundamental reason why we're doing this is because if we don't, we're going to miss out. And you see the rest of the country, this particular north, has gone down this route. And we have seen that we have missed out on investment and growth because we haven't had this. So I think getting devolution delivered here is a major achievement, but we need someone to be the mayor who has the experience and able to do the job and understands that this job is not about things like council spending. This is about a job that's about bringing that investment into the region, overseeing the big strategic issues around strategic transport, housing, around things like jobs and skills and so on. Yeah, that is what this job's all about. And you need to make sure when you go into that voting booth, you vote for someone who understands that and knows what this job is really about.
Margaret, same question to you. Like, how do you persuade voters that a vote for Labour is going to make their lives better?
Well, I think in terms of why devolution is important is because we've seen what it delivers elsewhere. It gets money away from Westminster and back into local people having the decision as to how that money is spent locally, because local people best know how to spend that money. And so that's what I'm saying, as a Labour mayor working with other mayors across the north, with a seat at the table with a Labour government, can really deliver. And let's focus not on kicking the councils, but actually looking. I'm not hearing what Luke's going to deliver as mayor, but you know what a mayor's actually going to deliver within the remit: housing, transport. These are things where, looking at the region as a whole, we've actually can get Hull and East Riding working together, having a vision as a region to actually deliver those important things, understanding the importance of the Humber and the net zero industries. So devolution across the country has been a success story, and it's one area where you can actually point to direct benefits when you've got local mayors delivering what local people want, understanding what those local needs are. So I think the argument for devolution is a very strong one. And if we didn't have this devolution deal here, we would have been left behind. Mike's quite right. We would have been left behind. So this is a great opportunity for us to kind of seize that and really take the region forward.
Margaret, thank you. Rowan, the same question to you.
Yes, devolution is incredibly important, particularly for areas which have long been forgotten by Westminster and especially London-centric politics. And it's one that's built into the foundations of the Yorkshire Party to fight for devolution. We fought for this step and will continue fighting for local people to have a voice on local issues, to take the power away from Westminster and give the power to the people who are voting today. But as far as the monetary concerns is, yes, it will cost money, but it's about bringing in fair investment to outweigh those costs. And I believe whoever has voted mayor, then in 4 years' time, that would be the true test of whether you've brought that further money in. So that's where the collaboration with industries and business and other councils and government itself to make sure we are getting the funding to make people's lives better. Because if in 4 years' time people's lives aren't better, well, you're going to be told on the ballot paper. But it's one thing I actually do agree with Luke with is transparency and accountability. That has to be built in from day one, from the ground running, because we shouldn't have to wait for 4 years' time. It should be accountability and transparency at every single stage.
So, thank you. And finally, Anne, coming to you with this question.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's been really interesting, actually, listening to everybody's comments. We all clearly want the same thing. And devolution for me is literally looking after local people at a local level. For too long, we've had people, faceless people, as far as I'm concerned, in Whitehall making decisions on behalf of people in our region. And that's not right and that's not fair. And we need to change that. And that's why I have fought tooth and nail to make sure that this is actually finally at the table. I have watched, as leader of the council, I have watched investment go elsewhere. I have watched investment go to mayoral combined authorities, and we've not been able to do anything about that because we haven't had the levers that they have had. And now we will have those levers. That will be there. But the mayor cannot be involved with either council. It is a complete, the councils, the mayor cannot allow there's no accountability to the councils. They cannot hold the councils to account. I have to just say that because it's true. It's a separate body altogether, Rob, and you cannot hold the councils to account. You can't hold East Riding to account and you can't hold Hull City to account. That's not what your job is. Your job is to be the person that negotiates local, national and internationally to bring in more investment, not to hold the councils to account. I just need to just say that because it is
That's
true.
nonsense.
Could I just interject there?
Yeah. So yeah. Go on, Rowan.
Yes, so when I'm making these
Just-
points,
just quickly,
it's
so-
not necessarily about yes, you're not holding these council accounts as in publishing it, but it's about this leading from example to approach. I would be accountable, I would be transparent, and I'm not here to again attack either council. I respect a lot of the work you do, but I think there are ways we can do it better. But I'd want to lead by example and make sure every form of governance in this area is transparent and accountable. So it's about that front-led leading.
So, Luke, the mayor, if elected, won't be running the council. They will have a direct accountability role. So how will you cut the council waste that you're talking about?
It's not about controlling council spending because they can't do that, but you've got to improve accountability. Someone has to be responsible for wasting millions on projects no one wants and no one's asked for. Someone has to be accountable for that. So as mayor, you sit in the middle and work with both councils. A lot of the councils offer fantastic things, great projects, grants, but unfortunately, who knows about them? It's getting the word out, spreading that word out, but also we've got to make people accountable for just wasting millions, for overspending, wasting millions on projects no one's asked for, no one wants. So that can be done with transparency.
Rob, can I just say,
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that Luke has this interest in the spending of the councils. Recently, the council's been trying to get people to apply for the audit committee at the council. I think maybe Luke might have missed his calling and should probably have applied for that position rather than this one as mayor of the region instead.
You still haven't answered the question there, have you, Mike? How have you spent 21.1 million on regenerating Queen's Gardens when you was quoted 5.4? What's the answer to that?
Because it's a different project. It's a different project to one that was set out on. It's that
So you
simple.
started new projects.
It's a new project. It's a
Well,
new project to one that was
could you
started
not,
out on.
instead
And
of
as when we came and inherited,
decisions
hang
for
on,
the
Luke. When we
people-
came and
Yeah,
inherited the project, we've actually had to push back around the spending that was taking place. They wanted to do more, and we pushed back on it. And actually, the project now is one that is a new project, different project, different things taking part as part of it, which is why the costs are what they are. It's not an overspend. It's a different project.
What's different about it?
It's much more work that's taking place.
Okay. Well, I think we could probably go back and
Yeah.
forth about this project all day long. I want to move on to the next question, if that's okay. Now, there's a famous quote from the former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. Who do I call if I want to speak to Europe? I'm not sure he ever got an answer to that question. But in Hull and the East Riding, the answer to that question is one of the people sat round this table, or possibly the Green Party. So the Hull and East Riding elected mayor will be the face and the figurehead of this region, are trying to attract investment and business into Hull and the East Riding. So I'm very interested in how you will approach that task. In other parts of the north of England, mayors have done trade missions to the US and India and places like that to get in investment, which is what this region needs to thrive. So starting with you, Margaret, what is your approach going to be to attracting business and investment into this region?
Well, I think it's important, as well as the mayor having a very local approach, to having an internationalist approach, because we have to understand we are part of that wider community. Now, I know we're not part of the European Union anymore, and there's huge upheaval in the world at the moment, which we're seeing, everyone can see happening. So I think it's important to actually understand the importance of having those good relations abroad, having good relations with Europe. Just because we're no longer members of the European Union doesn't mean that they're not our trading allies, they're not our friends. The same goes for places like India. I mean, I've lived and worked overseas. So I understand the importance of international economies. I've worked through the CBI, engaging in Washington and talking about trade in both Brussels and Washington. So it's really important to have a mayor who understands the importance of those and actually understands the language, how to approach international businesses, how to talk that language and translate that into real benefits here in the region. So I think that's a very good question, that's actually looking beyond the region and looking at how we actually collaborate and cooperate, not just locally, but also with the wider community.
Margaret, thank you. Anne, the same question to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I already work with international companies. So recently we've had a Norwegian delegation across looking at the green energy on the Humber. We've had a Finnish delegation overlooking at Metsa Tissue, which is it will be the largest tissue factory in Europe. But that also is not just me doing that. We have a fantastic economic investment team that work with us and scout. So what actually happens is we look at what people want, what we can offer, and then we work on that. So that's why currently the fastest growing economic region in the whole of the country is the East Riding, and that is from the Northern Powerhouse. That's not me saying that. That is an actual statistic. We are the fastest growing region. We've got the largest rail manufacturer. We've got the largest tissue factory down at Saltend. We've got lots of fantastic things going on. So I am already working with international investors for this area.
Anne, thank you very much. Same question now to Rowan, the Yorkshire Party.
Yeah, if we're just looking on an individualistic scale of what each of us candidates could do as mayor, I'll just draw on experience that I've had in the past. I've worked in Europe and I already have partnerships, and I know how systems work differently over there. I spent about 2 years living in Germany. I've worked for Microsoft, Intel, Google. I've worked for Oxford University, Cambridge University, Glasgow University. I have these connections already within the semiconductor industry, within future tech, which we want to bring to the region. So I understand what a lot of these businesses need and what they want, and a lot of the time it simply comes down to, do you want cheap land and you want labour to fill the jobs? Well, we've got plentiful land within this region already. We're on brownfield development, so as long as we can ensure we educate and upskill our current workforce, I think we're going to have absolutely no problem bringing in these international partners once we focus on whoever's here first.
Rowan, thank you. Luke, you represented the country as an Olympic boxer. How do you represent Hull and the East Riding in getting investment and business into the region?
Well, I started my own business, my first business, when I was 19 years old, which went very successfully. Then I moved on, started my own boxing business, which then went very successfully for the next 12 years after that. I'm currently running 3 companies as it is. I've lived over in the United States for 2 years. I've been in London. Just alone in the last 30 days on my social media platforms, we've brought in 3.5 million views to my platform. That's a lot of attention, that's a lot of eyes, and let's make a lot of noise. So I believe if I'm voted in first to mayor, then we're going to make a big noise here. We're going to send a shockwave all over this country and turn this around, so we're going in the right direction.
Okay. Finally, Mike, Ross, how do you bring investment and business into Hull and East Riding?
Whoever's elected mayor needs to be able to bang on the door loudly and shout loudly for this region, but they also need to know the right things to say when they get around that table. And my experience means that I'm the person that has the right things to say when they're in the room with the people to do the deals. I think what's also really important about this, though, is that yes, we want to go out there and get the city and the region promoted further afield. But the important thing about this is also getting people here as well. We need to bring people here. We need to show them what this region has to offer. So often when we get people here, they say what a brilliant place it is. They instantly see what this place has to offer. So we need to be bringing more people in here. We need to be getting them to this region so that they can see what Hull and East Riding has to offer for their business, so that they can thrive, and that this region can also thrive as a result as well.
Mike, thank you very much. Now, moving on to the next question. I think one of the issues, if you talk to voters anywhere, what are the big problems that are affecting their lives? I think transport will almost certainly figure among the top ones. So I'm interested to know, and I'll start with you, Rowan, what policy of yours would make the biggest difference to improving transport links in Hull and East Yorkshire?
I've got a few different ideas when it comes to transport. One, to help our high street, which would be to, if you've got a ticket to a gig or an event or something in the area, you can sign up and you could use perhaps a QR code that you're using to get to this event to get free public transport to get you there and back, and hopefully extending the networks on those nights so you've got safe travel to and from. And then also, if you, regardless of age, are studying for up to a level 4 qualification, you'd again have free public transport to get you into your educational establishments. Again, we're not using that as a barrier. But I believe once we just bring the Hull and East Riding bus networks together, because there are profit makers and there are loss makers, and we just need to get them working together, hopefully one day within the public realm, so we can service everyone, not just some city folk or not just a coastal region, everyone, because it's a collaborative effort. It's Hull and East Riding. We don't just want country staying in country, city in city. It's an interconnected network we need to focus on.
Rowan, thank you. Luke Campbell, Reform, what's your transport policy that will help transform this region?
I just think fix what's broken, and you don't need to fix what isn't broken. It's not all broken. The transport system, the bus system, some of it's working fine, but some of it is broken. There's been rural towns that have been cut off. I was only in, last week? I was in Bridlington campaigning. There was 2 gentlemen that I sat talking to, and they go out once a week to pub on a Sunday, and now their last bus home's now being cut. So they can't even go out on a Sunday and have a few beers with their friends. It breaks my heart to think that that's what you enjoy, one thing, and they can't even do that now on a Sunday. So it's sad that they can't do that because times are being cut. So you've got to take back control. You've got to control the bus routes. You've got to control the fares and the times, and give the routes that the people of our community want and need.
So you're saying take buses under public control?
I'm not saying all of it. I'm saying the ones that are broken. But you've got to start there. You've got to start by fixing what's broken.
Okay. Mike Ross from the Liberal Democrats, what's your transport policy that's going to help people here?
Well, transport is obviously a key issue as part of devolution, and the Mayor would have a big say over the transport system. I think I would break this down into several areas. One around rail, and obviously rail electrification was something that we made sure was part of the devolution deal. We want to make sure that happens and the government commits to doing that. But alongside that, improving the rail stock as well on the lines to give people better quality provision when they go on rail. Road, there's big issues around the M1079 up near Pogniston area. I think there needs to be a review around that part of the road network to ensure that is dealt with. I think when it comes to buses, I understand what people are saying around franchise issue, and I certainly think in the long term that is something that needs to be looked at. But in the short term, obviously, people need action now. To do that, franchising issue would take many years. I would want to work with the bus companies to get the changes that need to happen now in place. And then finally, I'd want to work with developers when it comes to housing schemes and the like, so that when those are done, make sure the active travel schemes that are put in are actually ones that work for the people that are moving into those areas.
Mike, thank you. Now over to you, Anne Handley of the Conservatives. What's your transport policy that's going to win over the voters?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Well, I am East Riding, and we have huge issues in the East Riding, and there are massive pockets, and Luke's quite right, where people are just cut off, really. It needs a huge shake-up. I couldn't agree more. We need to sort this out. I'm fortunate enough, in Goole, we bid for a £125 million Townsdeal funding, and out of that, we've actually put on what we call the Goole to Houchen hopper bus. It's just a small little bus that runs backwards and forwards, and we've just put it up from £1 to £2. Nobody's bothered. That bus is full all day, every day. It works like a dream. We've now got people shopping in different parts of that part of East Riding. I would like to see that rolled out across our smaller rural areas, and the gentlemen that need to go for the pint on a Sunday night, it'd be great for them to be able to do that. So the transport is absolutely broken and needs fixing. It's one of the biggest issues out on the door. So yeah, that's what I would do.
And thank you. And finally, Margaret, how do you fix transport?
I think that buses are the answer to what's needed in East Riding. Obviously, as Mike's alluded to, there's the rail electrification, which is important. I was bending Heidi Alexander, the Minister of State's ear on that only the other week. But I think buses, I was talking to the Bus Alliance this morning, and we've got to understand that franchising the buses, which the Labour government has now brought in and which is important, it's not about taking the buses, it's not about nationalising the bus service, it's about working with those service deliverers because they're running businesses. They're running businesses for profit, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But it means that in rural areas, there are huge gaps in the service. And so that's where the mayor can step in with a franchise bus service and ensure that those services are actually extended so they're meeting need. And we're also seeing a lot of good initiatives. You know, the government's just put 4 million into Hull, 42 zero emission buses, electric buses. I've seen that, you know, both Stagecoach and East Riding were investing the infrastructure to support that. So it's about working with the bus companies as mayor to understand and in the region where the connectivity is needed and fill those gaps in a way so that people can access work, can access services, can access leisure, can access friends and family. So for me, that's one of the really important things the mayor can deliver.
Margaret, thank you very much. So the next question is about net zero, quite a controversial topic for some people. Humber businesses want to turn this region into the world's first carbon neutral industrial cluster with projects like offshore wind and carbon capture and storage. I'm going to come to you, Mike, first. How much of a priority will net zero, achieving net zero, be for you if you're elected mayor?
Your question there indicates the view of the business community. As mayor, I'd want to listen to the business community. I want to listen to the residents of the area. Fundamentally, of course, achieving net zero is a major issue for this region. I mean, I don't like the terminology net zero, I have to say. I think it sort of doesn't help people understand what it means. But fundamentally, if this region doesn't help contribute to this issue, the country itself is going to be held back. But the important thing about it is also that it's done in such a way that helps the local region grow. That means it's done in a way that means there's more jobs for local people and more opportunity for local businesses to benefit from the work that's going to take place. I think as mayor, I'd want to work with the local business community to make sure that was the case.
Margaret Pinder, how much of a priority will net zero and achieving it be for you as mayor?
It's absolutely huge because net zero is actually kind of catch-all for the industries that currently sit around the Humber. So first of all, the mayor has got to work pan-Humber because the Humber region contains so many of those. We're already doing it. We've got Siemens Gamesa, we've got the decarbonisation industries, we've got the hydrogen industries. We're already doing it, and this is our real opportunity to turbocharge that. Those are the industries that are really going to sit behind the regeneration for this region. We've got a government that's committed to. We've had Ed Miliband here. We've got the government putting money in. This is our chance to actually make Hull and East Riding the heart of delivering that agenda for the nation. And so put us on the map from that point of view. And also, if we can hit that carbon reduction agenda and become domestically independent, we're not reliant on dictators like Putin. We have more domestic security, and that also means bringing bills down in the long run, bringing bills down for domestic users, which so long as we're so dependent on external sources, that's not going to happen. This is our real chance to be part of that, delivering great British energy for the nation.
Margaret, thank you. Anne Handley from the Conservatives, how much of a priority will net zero be for you?
Well, it has got to be a priority in this area. And I would like to come at it from the investment that's here, that's already invested here. And we're not just looked at, oh, well, it's just the energy estuary on the Humber. The entire world is looking at us to see if we can deliver carbon capture and storage. If we can actually find a way to get the carbon, sort out the carbon and capture it right, then we are set to just be the world leader in all of that. That is really important because that again means more investment in this area, which again means more jobs, which then makes this region, puts us well and truly on the map. Yorkshire's on the map because Yorkshire's a fantastic brand, but we need something in East Yorkshire that puts us on the map worldwide, and carbon capture and storage and green energy does exactly that. So for me, I am absolutely up there for it.
And thank you. Rowan from the Yorkshire Party, how much of a priority is net zero for you?
Yes, as I've mentioned quite a few times before, we're already a world leader, especially when it comes to offshore wind and green energy, and we just need to drive that forward to put us on the map. there's a lot of initiatives we can go down, and industries such as the CBI and other conglomerates have already said that they are committed to net zero. So this is what business wants, and there's profit to be made not only for the businesses but for the people of this region. And if we can get that investment in, it's going to benefit everybody, not only with the business, but for institutions such as University of Hull. If we can get the research and development to drive these changes, we'll be getting fresh startups for our people to drive these new ideas, which will become global. It's about outsourcing what we can do here, not just making this area green, but the entire area. So no matter what side of the argument you sit on, we, as people of this region, can profit off this for the planet and for ourselves.
Thank you very much. Luke Campbell, Reform UK, how much of a priority, if at all, will net zero be for you?
Yeah, do you know what? If it creates local people to get jobs, I'm all for it. I'll put the people of this region first before any party politics. So I'm all for it. I mean, my view on net zero is, firstly, it is not achievable. Where do you think all these car batteries are coming from? They're all getting imported from China. The airports in and out, like net zero is not achievable in my view, and we're paying a fortune for it. But if it will help the local economy, if it will help create jobs for local people, I will support that.
Okay. Thank you. Margaret, you just want to come back on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to come back to you on that, Luke, because you can't really have it both ways. Nigel, no, you can't, because Nigel Farage has said you're standing for a party that has said it wants to put a windfall tax on net zero industries. You're in an area where that's one of our main employers. That's one of the main things that's going to drive regeneration. And you're saying, well, it's fine if it puts money in people's pockets, but I'm standing for a party that's actually opposed to it, wants to go back to oil and gas, and wants to tax those industries, precisely the industries that are already funding this region, giving jobs to this region, and are going to drive regeneration. You can't have it both ways, but you're trying to, but you can't.
Listen, if the people vote me in, I represent them. They get put first before any party politics. It's as simple as that.
So you disagree with Nigel?
It's as simple as that.
So you
I've said what I've said.
disagree.
You either take it or you don't.
Well, you're standing for a political party. You keep saying I'm not You're standing for a political
party. I've also
party
said I'd put the people of this region first before any party politics.
But they're opposed to they want to tax net zero and go back to oil and gas. So you can't square that circle.
Net zero, I do agree with Luke slightly in that it's not achievable on its current tax. But this is where we can excel. Like I said, with the research and development and having our people drive this investment forward, we can actually make this change, and it can be achievable. Yes, perhaps not by 2030 or by 2050, but within our lifetime, certainly. And it's something we should strive for. Like I said, not only for ourselves, for our back pockets, but also for the planet and the region.
Just to clarify the point that Margaret and Mike are making, Luke, do you agree with Nigel Farage that we should be imposing a tax on net zero industries and focusing more on oil and gas? Would you agree with that?
It's not up to me whether I agree on that. That's whatever the national party politics want to do, that's fine. But if I get elected, I'm here to stand for this region. Obviously, all the
party.
Well, don't matter, does it?
Can I just...
Why can't I support the people of this region?
Surely you need to have a view on whether you think it's the right thing to do or not. If you were to
putting the people first is number one priority.
I agree with you, Luke. You're right, but can I just say, absolutely not, with no disrespect whatsoever, if the Reform Party decide they're putting a tax on it, you can stand for all the people, and that's fantastic. You won't have a choice. It will be done to you. Believe me, I belong to a party. So does Mike, so does Margaret, actually so does Rowan.
So does Molly.
So do you.
And so do you. And so therefore, your sentiment, I understand. The reality of that is, if Nigel Farage decides that he's going to put a tax on, with the greatest respect, you will not be able to stop that from happening. And I'm really not being rude or anything. It's a fact. And I think that's the point that you're trying to make, Margaret, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about, we can't have that level of political naivety sitting in the mayoral office.
I mean, Luke hasn't actually answered the question.
Do you want to come back on that, Luke?
No, I'll leave it there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll move on to the final question. So there's, in the north of England, there are already, as I said, 7 metro mayors of different parties, different parts of the country. Starting with you, Anne, I'd be interested in your view on who has been the most successful metro mayor in England, and why do you think that?
Okay, so for me, I have to say it would be Ben Houchen. He got voted in on I will open Teesside Airport. He has delivered Teesside Airport and then some. And also, he's always said, I will never ever put a precept on council tax while I'm the mayor. And he's never put a precept on council tax while he's been the mayor. So for me, it would be Ben.
Okay, and thank you. Rowan, Halstead, who's been the best Metro Mayor in your opinion?
I think it's a difficult question to ask as an outsider, because I really think you've got to live within these regions to be able to know what's best for you. If you want a representative what can be achieved as far as where this direction can go, I'll probably go for Andy Burnham, purely because I believe he's now become a household name to represent his region. If he can get on television and radio and out into the world, really delivering what local people want, and so long as he's representing that image, then I think that's what's needed. And I don't believe people look at him as Andy Burnham Labour Party. I believe they just look at him as Andy Burnham, which I think is very beneficial in terms of a mayor.
Okay, Rowan, thank you. Luke Campbell, Reform, who do you think has been the most successful Metro Mayor and why?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult question because you don't want to put anyone down that's done a fantastic job and not get named for it. But obviously, the guy that keeps coming up most is Andy Burnham. I agree. He's look what he's done for the transportation in Manchester with the bus network and things like that. So I think he pops up more than anyone else for me.
Okay. Margaret, I think Andy Burnham was in
yesterday.
campaign.
Yeah, he is
wasn't
popular.
he?
He's very popular. I'm not actually going to play this game because it's like, who's your favourite child? So I'm actually, and we've got a basket full of great Labour mayors. It's nice to have Andy name check, but I think what sits behind the question is actually what it does is it shows how successful devolved authorities have been, because you can look across the spectrum and you can see mayors have actually delivered really well for local people. So obviously, if I was forced, I can't pick amongst our great Labour mayors, but what I'm saying, I think the better answer is this actually highlights just what a great opportunity devolved authorities bring, that mayors, even of all spectrums, have actually delivered really well. And so I think it's a tribute to the power of the devolved deals, the power of the mayoralties, to introducing this new level of government. I think it's a success story.
Mike Ross, there's no Liberal Democrat Metro Mayors as yet. You would be the first if you were to get elected. Who do you think has been the most successful of those who are in place at the moment?
Well, likewise, I think it's all of them. I'm sure would put forward a different case if they were in the room about why they would be the most successful. I think you can't really just pick one over the other because there's all different things they do. But I do think what stands behind this question is around what the mayor needs to do, and I think when people go to vote for the mayor, they need to vote for someone who's going to work hard for the region, someone who understands the place, has the experience and the background that means that they can do the job. And I think the person they'll be looking for that will be me, and get that first Lib Dem mayor.
Mike, thank you very much. So we've had all our questions now. We've got time for closing statements of 60 seconds each, just to sum up whatever you want to sum up before we finish. And Luke Campbell, I'll start with you. What's your closing statement to people in this region?
My closing statement is that I'm going to stand, I'm going to represent our communities, I'm going to give back as much as possible for our region. I am not doing this to level myself up through any party politics. I don't want to be an MP down in London. I want to stay here. This is my home. I'm born and bred here. And I want to stand and be the voice for the people and bring more investment, more opportunities, create more jobs. Let's go. Pick me, May 1st, and I'll do that. I'll do what I say I'm going to do. That's the difference.
Okay.
My actions will speak louder than my words.
Luke Campbell, thank you very much. Margaret Pinder of Labour, you got a closing statement for us?
Yeah, I think this is a really historic moment. What's important is to get the right person in place. And I think one of the things that I offer as Labour and cooperative mayor, as well as a very extensive professional background, working with business, working in law, but also being very, very strongly based in this region, having a seat at the table with the Labour government, working with other Labour mayors across the region, I can really deliver what's needed for Hull and East Riding. And I think when people are making their decisions in this election, don't look at the general statements. Look at what are the positive things there? What are the actual concrete statements there that are actually things you can look at and go, I can see what this person will deliver for the region. And I think I'm that person. Absolutely right. It's place first. What's really important, this is where devolution works. It's place first, party second. But with a seat at the table, working with other mayors, being focused and based in this region, I believe I can absolutely deliver the best deal for Hull and East Yorkshire.
Mike Ross, Liberal Democrats, a closing statement from you.
When people go to vote on May the 1st, they'll be choosing someone who needs to lead for this region. And that person needs to have the experience, all that I said when I was making my opening remarks earlier around understanding this region and knowing what needs to happen here. I have that experience, I have that background. But I know there's also many people who are concerned around the idea of Reform winning this election. And it's looking increasingly likely that the one person that can stop that happening is me on May the 1st. So if you don't want to see that happening, back me.
Mike, thank you. And Rowan Halstead from the Yorkshire Party.
Yeah, this is a fantastic step for the region, and I believe I'm the best candidate to deliver this. I'm not involved in national politics. I'll only ever put the people first. I lead the Yorkshire Party, so I don't listen to any outside donors or head cats down in Westminster. I only listen to the people of Hull and the East Riding. A lot of people who I've been speaking to are disillusioned and they don't trust what's going on in party politics nowadays and want to try something new. So I tried something truly new. Don't listen to the parties which are asking to be voted in only by slating other parties. Vote for the party who is going on their own merits, who is putting themselves out there and will truly do what's best for the people in Hull of Yorkshire. So on May 1st, vote for the Yorkshire Party.
Rowan, thank you. And finally, Anne Handley, Conservatives.
So we're 1 week away from one of the biggest elections that this region has seen for many, many years. It's the first time we'll ever have a mayor of Hull and East Yorkshire. I know that I can deliver what a mayor has to do. I know that because I've been doing that for the past 2 years to get this devolution deal over the line. This region has been left behind for far too long. It's now time for us to go forward to show the rest of this country just what we do have. This is a local election for a local candidate. It is not national politics, and I would very much like you to use your vote for me on May the 1st. Thank you.
Anne, thank you very much. So we've reached the end of our time on this hustings. It's been a fascinating debate, I think, and I hope people listening and watching at home feel a little bit better informed about the choice facing them on May the 1st. I want to thank Anne, Rowan, Mike, Margaret and Luke for taking part, and to the team at Hull Live for hosting us today. If you're interested in keeping up with what's going on in Northern politics, why not sign up for the free Northern Agenda podcast and newsletter at www.thenorthernagenda.co.uk, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.